Okay, well, welcome to Substack Reviews. I am Malcontented, and with me, as always, is Arthur Cartier or Cartier.
Hello, huh?
I'm
Yeah,
I'm
whatever,
not enough of a
however,
francophone to get that right ever.
dealer's choice. Dealer's choice.
Okay. And so I picked the article this week, and we're picking a doozy. We are talking about a dating crisis in the Orthodox Church, a woman's perspective by Katherine's Sword. So this kind of blew up this week. Arthur, would you like to start us off on what happened here?
Yeah, so it's this Orthodox woman. She kind of, it starts very much like, well, I'm kind of getting in this small scale survey to kind of see, what's going on in Orthodox dating because everyone's a little bit unhappy. And she very quickly proceeds to just kind of say, well, it's all these chuds that are just ruining it for everyone. And when people in the comments or even on Twitter are starting to be like, well, I think you're being a little bit unfair, she just doubled down every single time on it being young guy's fault. And then it turns out she had quite a few skeletons in her closet.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
your view. So yeah, I went into this blind. I guess this person on Twitter had a bit of a history for people in the know on Orthobro Twitter. Um, so I came into this value free. Now, um, as someone interested in the topic, it's actually a very useful thing to, have a Christian woman in the greater trad sphere, not necessarily Catholic, but Orthodox is close enough these days. Um, yeah, to offer a perspective on what they're going through. And she makes some reasonable points starting off in the article. There's a wave of converts, especially in the Orthodox Church, even more so than there's an imbalance in the Catholic Church of men to women. And there's some realities of those people being, let's say, not well formed or adjusted. I'll give her that. But yeah, there's just a hint of bias in some of the phrases. So let me like read off some of these that caught my eye. And yet these women aren't bitter or unrealistic. They are also well aware of their own faults and brokenness, which they are actively trying to work out in their spiritual father and within the church. They are realistic and humble when they speak of themselves and their faults. They do not think they deserve more than they are owed. They do not think they are owed more than they deserve or are owed a husband. Now, Arthur, does that pass the sniff test to you?
uh, no. I think the thing is and I guess that's the whole point of this article is kind of to add this kind of veneer of respectability, right? Because this is kind of what do they call that? Intrasexual competition. I think that's the word people use. Um, where you're kind of like, oh, like this is how it is, but secretly I'm kind of mad and really, really resentful of my current circumstances. So I'm going to present it as a neutral statement, but it's kind of in a way like cope. I don't know if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Exactly. Well, it's fake reasonableness, right? It's veiled,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people were pointing this out to her. Now, when I read this, I was fully willing to believe that this person wrote this article in good faith, and some biases are just showing through out of just mistake, right? No one's a perfect writer, especially people doing this on their free time. Now, this blew up after a couple days, so anyone who wasn't following, after 2 days of Twitter drama, she deleted her account, and we'll get to that. Um, but my initial reaction was, and a lot of other people's, was pleading with her to kind of say, well, surely, you acknowledge that this article can read like you're blaming men and kind of as absolving women, right? She lists the top reasons of these women that she polled, and they're completely objective reasons of men not being good enough for the church or being of poor quality. So lack of physical attraction is number one. Poor hygiene,
Mhm.
age, life stage differences, lack of social skills, made her feel uncomfortable, personality mismatch, two orthobro extreme, which that basically means right wing chud.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, people gave her this opportunity to clarify a bit, and every single time she doubled down entirely, and she to the point of like it had to be on purpose. Like you can see the comments she's reading. She's showering praise on people who agreed with her, who saw the article in the best light possible, and she's ignoring very reasonable comments, and she is promoting the most extreme shutting out of people just calling her a bitch or whatever.
Yeah. I I actually think a really good thing that kind of highlights the kind of, I guess, yeah, hypocrisy that really struck a nerve with a lot of people was, this is from the article, quote, another 29-year-old was courted for an entire year, only to be told her main sin was gluttony and she needed to lose weight, and he ended it. Now, you know, if she's mentioning, oh, well, the guys are kind of, unattractive, they're not very fit, they're kind of maladjusted, socially awkward. Um, that like if the woman was if she was fat, like like if it was a guy that was fat, she wouldn't be like, oh, how terrible, like um she'd be like, oh yeah, like, girl, like, he's unattractive, he's not fit. So I think that kind of shows her lack of even be accept criticism in the female camp. um so yeah.
100%. And we were talking about this. Every single point in this article can it be levied at both sexes.
Yeah.
Um, but we all know that a lot of these women are more guilty of than the men.
Yeah.
If you're being at all objective, right? Um, Here's another one that I pulled just because it made me laugh. Uh, we can talk all day long about who is to blame for our modern problems, men or women. But the reality is, men are supposed to be leaders. We once had a patriarchal society patterned on a Christian worldview and a reality made by God. But at some point, that was abdicated. I think this is why traditional Christianity is on the rise again. We all feel that something is missing. Now that is really, really tricky, right? Because it's presenting as very reasonable. It's both sexes, right? But
Yeah.
notice the word abdicate. She's really just absolving women again here, laying at the feet
Yeah.
of men. We absolved our responsibility, and we're not leading them hard enough. So therefore, all the faults, right? Like that girl, the gluttony. That's because essentially that is downstream from men abdicating their role. And on some level, you can make that argument, but in an article like this, it becomes clear that this isn't in good faith.
Yeah, and I think that's why these, I guess, yeah, promiscuous or formerly promiscuous, neo-feminist women who put on the kind of Christian veneer, and I don't doubt that there's a lot of sincerity, but this really works well against kind of a well-meaning guy, and that I think it's from Jocko, right? That extreme ownership, and a well-meaning guy's like, yeah, you're right, it's all on me, like I have to be better and I have to be stronger, and like that's good. That's good. But to the point where it's like you're debasing yourself or you're having to convince yourself, oh yeah, well, I did watch porn when I was younger, and so I guess if she slept with 20 guys, like I should have just led better. We just
Yeah.
need stronger men. It's like I don't know, man. I think you're starting to have to tell yourself that instead of like dealing with the reality of like it's embarrassing and you don't like it. You really don't like it, but you're trying to convince yourself.
Yeah, like at a certain point you become I forget the horse's name in Animal Farm, but like the true believer, like who
Yeah.
accepts the communist message and he works himself to death,
Yeah.
right? Because it takes because men, young men and women have a lot of them have like very good intentions in mind, right? In their hearts, where they want to be better Christians, they want to sacrifice for the right things, and they will go to great lengths to like of self denial and sacrifice for that.
Mhm.
And you just see more and more people getting frustrated with this kind of talking. Like let's go on another one. Here's the I I noted this with this is the problem. One thing men need to know is that women desire to follow a good man. They will not submit to just any man, nor is that required of her. If a woman loves and respects a man, she will follow him to the ends of the earth. But therein lies the key. Where are the good men worth following?
Good man scarcity. It's where are they all gone?
They're all
So
gone. I don't know any.
so I think this is really interesting because yeah, like this whole logic, you see it all the time, and oh yeah, that that makes sense. Oh, being a good man, being a good leader, being a good Christian, all that stuff. But it's always in this really perverted way where if you scratch behind the surface, it's oh well, you have to be worthy of following me, and it's not like oh we get married and now I'm like committed to following you. And this is something that is constantly being tested. If you do something that I consider sinful, well then you're not worth following anymore. Oh well, I don't have to agree. So it's in this constant kind of it's not real submission, I guess, is the root of it. And nothing more can make me think of this example than so I don't know, are you familiar with the Savannah Bananas?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so it's a totally secular organization, but so it's basically baseball, but they made it really like oh fun and entertaining to watch, and then they went all in on like TikTok dancing. It's kind of silly, but the guy who founded it, I forget his name, but he so believed he wanted to make this work that he like took out a second mortgage on their house to like buy the team, and at some point he was basically living in a really awful apartment with like an air mattress on the floor. And his wife, she followed him into battle, even though like that is kind of crazy and extremely risky. Like, okay, honey, like we're stable now, but we're gonna live in like a cockroach apartment with air mattress. And I think a lot of these women that you see online that post this, they would consider that oh that's sinful, you are sacrificing our family, I'm not going along with it. She would fight you every step of the way, even though like again I don't think they're Christian. um this man's wife was just like okay, I'm in your corner, let's do it. um and I think a lot of guys are starting to sniff that out, even if it has that
Yeah, well, like
shine to it.
people talk about this like on a financial level, right? Where like, you should teach your daughters or teach women to look for a good man with potential, right? He might not
Yeah.
have made it yet, um, but like look for the signs that he is on that path, right?
Yeah.
Um, that is like the high time preference. Way of being a good woman to look for that and not just thinking you deserve, the money now. And we'll get to that too. That comes up with this. But there's a piety version of that, right? It's like I deserve a saint right now, and we know we've both ran into this in dealing with church communities, right? And it's a big
Yeah.
problem that people are struggling to give that advice, right? Where there's this veto that the women are taught, even in the most trad churches, of I am supposed to follow my husband unless,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, like the I would love to find some esoteric writing on the subject where you find out that this is something that the lady were not supposed to know about until they came to their priest. You find out about the secret veto after there's been problems, and the priest goes, "Yeah, okay. Let me tell you something you can't
Okay.
tell can't tell the other woman, but You can stop listening to him now. It's really
Okay,
bad.
I guess if he's spending all his money on alcohol and he's cheating on you, okay, like fine, here's your veto, golden, get out of jail free. But yeah, and I think also, and we've talked about this before, it's paired with that really awful, I would say, Catholicism problem of making everything a mortal sin and using that very, very liberally. Oh, this is a mortal sin,
Yes.
that's a mortal sin. So, oh, I can't listen to my husband if it's a mortal sin. Oh, well, people seem to say this is a mortal sin. You working overtime or something. I don't know, right? It could be something like that. So, um,
Yeah, well, that's what people are calling this, right? Is the problem of like the trad femme, right? Feminism infecting like trad Christianity spaces, and I think that's really poignant of maybe the reason of why this is happening or why it's so insidious is the feminist mindset is able to co-opt traditionalist theology and language norms, right? Um, that hard line of mortal sin, right? Like, oh well, you're a bad person. I have to listen to you now, right? You've trespassed against me, and
yeah,
we're almost the kind of more lax Catholics who would be more liberal in general. They the problem might be the same in reality, but it's not as apparent and loud online where the women are like this.
yeah,
Or maybe that's just our bubble. But that being said, um, yeah, people really glommed onto this of just how insidious this problem has
yeah.
become. Now, let me show you my initial thoughts after reading it, because she lays out her problem. It's really presented as like the general Christian dating
Mhm.
analysis from the woman's perspective. She interviews these 40 women and talks about like how the men are icky, how a lot of them are autistic chuds, and I'll give her that. Um, she talks about uh, the what was her age bracket of women in their prime? I think she changed it. Someone caught her. It was like originally 25 to 35, and then she had to lower it down to just 20s. Because people are like, what? But
That's funny.
like I was appreciative first. So let's read this comment off. First off, I would like to thank you for taking the time to write this. I believe this is a real problem that needs more light shined on it. Coming from the traditional Catholic space, we face many of the same problems. Secondly, I think you are correct to point to the community issue we have today. Parish dances and Protestant style youth groups won't cut it. You need networks of families and friends who know each other and are active to help couples form. This also is essential for getting couples to the finish line. Part of the issue is individualism has put all the responsibility on the young to make all the right choices. We are human and are great at making colossal mistakes. Good marriage isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about working it out with an imperfect person. Thirdly, I will respectfully offer the criticism that this article does read as having a bias of blaming men. I understand because it's easy to just blame women too. Pretty much every complaint here can be inversely flipped and totally accurate to the male experience. I personally know dozens of good men who cannot find a spouse. They have had a terrible time dating in the church. I agree that there are women who are not seen, but the same goes for the men. This is the reality of unattractive people. Men and women are often in denial about issues like weight, hygiene, and how they present themselves. To say nothing about the autism epidemic. It's not fair to attribute this fully to one side being shallow. There are lots of shallow people, and there are a lot of unattractive people who don't want to be realistic. I find neither men or women are realistic today, and that is a big issue with dating. Everyone has tools to convince themselves of their reasonableness and the other of their unrealistic standards. However, I will point out women are famously good at this. Lastly, I hear the common Christian female ask of men need to lead is often a core problem of perception. Yes, men should lead, but there are limits to what we can expect of them. Men require some reciprocity to fuel them to lead. It's a common trope that a man can toil away for his family and be okay with it just by hearing from his wife that she values and appreciates his work. I find even faithful Christian women today have internalized the feminist attitude to resent men and withhold this. I've seen it break up many Christian couples. The success of marriages I see are the ones with a lot of constant forgiveness. I applaud you for doing your own samples, and I hope you write more from the other perspectives. Someone has to. Now, I know that was a bunch of words, but genuinely, I did read this um, and wish the best for this. Like, I tried to read this in the most charitable light I possibly could,
Yeah.
and then I went
And
on her Twitter.
well, that was what was so funny is like it was kind of like well, when I was like, oh, what's that name? Ali B. Stuckley, and she did that Jubilee debate, and I was like, oh, I actually think she handled it pretty well. And then like the next day, she's like crashing out, calling like men terrible. I'm like, oh wow, I'm really eating crow, and it felt like the same for you. Like just immediately like, no, your charity was misspent. Don't actually, really, you should be a cynical and believe the worst in people because it's usually right.
Oh, it's
But
so true, right? Like you try to not be the incel chud that because that's what all the women rush to her defense and like these men, right? They're just angry. They think the worst of women that they're just feminist and they're whores and they're just angry in their basements because they can't get laid. And I'm like, no, I'm not one of those people. I am reasonable. I'm trying to see the good in what you're saying, and then you eat the crow.
no, why did you do this to me?
The
Uh,
incels are totally vindicated.
so, and again, for this woman, so you mentioned okay, Twitter, and then that's kind of where things really fell off the wheel, the wagon, and it kind of really broke containment. It got so big. And from what I understand, originally this woman kind of had as mini micro e-celebs go, a little controversy where I think she posted something, a picture of herself, and it was called Kneegate because her I guess her hem of her dress or skirt or whatever was like showing her knees, and people were like, "Well, you're being immodest," which is such a like e-Christian thing to like like have conversations about.
Have a
But
whole public controversy.
yeah. But then anyways, there's a back and forth, and then people being like, oh no, like be charitable, or you don't know. Um, but then it seems, and I don't know if you want to go into it, that upon further revealing of how she's conducted herself, that they were indeed had good instincts on, yeah, it was attention seeking kind of pictures. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really spiraled out of control. Like, I genuinely saw no zero reasonable de-escalating responses from her in the 2 days this blew up, right?
Yeah.
You had guys. There's some great tweets here. What was the one? It was like she is saying that the church is overrun with all these men. There's like 10 to 1 male to female ratio. So there's no way possible that these men could find wives in the church. Yet she's
Yeah.
mad at them for going outside the church today to find Protestants or get like being passport bros and getting a Slavic Orthodox wife. That's bad
Yeah.
behavior. It's like, well, which is it, right? And just every single feminist talking point, people getting her on the financial stuff, right? Okay, yeah. So this lady says 100K is not that much, and she's like, she agrees. Yeah, 100K a year for like meaning a man's salary is low
Yeah.
for the West Coast, to be honest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
and then I think the mask slipped, right? Everyone's like, okay, so
yeah, to read the
this is
quote,
what you're.
In order to live in the West Coast and East Coast, you have to have a total house income of around 100K just to have a house. If you want to support a wife and children, this is simply the average you're looking at. Otherwise, you're living at home in a tiny apartment. I don't make the rules. You can do better in the middle of the country on less, but it's just not the reality on the coastal states. So again, the same thing is it's these women deserve to be in the top 10% of the country making over
Yeah.
100K, and you just deserve to be able to afford a house now when no millennial or Gen Z for the matter can afford one, right? We are in a downward mobility of
Yeah.
economics. Everyone has to accept that they're going to have less than their parents, and she's doubling down on this. Now, so what happened was it's actually crazy that no one anyone pretended that it wasn't inevitable. Was someone uh doxed her a little bit.
Yeah.
So it didn't dox her address, but someone who knew her started spilling the dirt on her past, her dating, some not so trad behaviors of allegedly sending photographs to the person she was seeing, while she's browbeating men for being, porn brained, and everyone like finger waving about piety. So she deleted her account over that.
Yeah, I think she deleted the Substack, and then she's only recently put it back up. I think, and I know she did some
Yeah, I
edits, but
believe that's what happened. Yeah.
yeah,
So she's still up on Substack.
I think also why there was so much discussion and this kind of blew up so much is that I think it kind of really exposed a lot of like, I want to use the word meta discourse that's going on in like, e-Christian, circles where in a lot of ways, like you said, like, well, she wants the 100K, she kind of, but where she's not working, the man has to make it, right? And I'm not expecting the world, even though everyone's downwardly mobile, everyone's broke, and it's kind of this perfect actual like lifeboat for I think these women who kind of, whether they were aware of it or not, like bought into these, you know, sexually promiscuous, liberal kind of 2000s, 2010s view. And what's difficult for these women to accept is, right, uh, now that maybe they're getting older, the finger wagging of, oh no, guys are so brutal, they just want to date young girls and all that stuff, or the secular guys are totally brutal to them. They have no influence, they can't control it at all. But if you just hop on over um, to the Christian boat, um, wow, God tells me you're a bad person if you don't do this, if you don't
That's
see
right.
past this, or see, and it's perfect and it's so powerful. And oh well, I want 100K not because, well, I just want to be taken care of, and it's a very fine, it's a very natural female impulse. But no, because you would be a bad husband if you can't give this lifestyle to me. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
I think I, it's a very convenient belief system to buy into if you're one of those girls. Oh,
Yeah, once again, the stereotype is true, right? I would have
yes.
liked to have thought that because you see it a lot from like manosphere, somewhat non-Christian, right-wing people, right? Where they're like, oh, these hoes, they just get used up and then they start trad grifting. And you want to think like that's a minority. That's like 5, 10 people online. That's not a pattern, right?
Yeah.
And it's true. It is a meta discussion going on in these Twitter blowups, right? Because it's not just this person having, an axe to grind. They wrote an article with feminist talking points that are annoying. It's
Yeah.
all the women in the comments rattling the sabers, right, and agreeing with her. Because what happened after, the allegedly nudes got leaked? I don't know if that's true because apparently the pictures going around that are censored was just her in a bikini, so it made it look worse.
Yeah.
So it's all basically hearsay on that. But what happened was, um, as it was so obvious that this is a feminist article, that every point she's making is not valid, right? There's a total bias here, and it's not looking good for her. She is getting egg on her face. These photos drop. All of a sudden, she's a victim, and you have
Yeah,
regular trads coming out. You have the trad woman. You have supposed priests and and people who are above this and outside of it, and now they get to say something that everyone involved with this is now a bad person because this one person dropped the evidence, and now it's calumny or it's gossip or this is gross and you've scandalized everybody who's been involved with it. So it's basically all not valid anymore.
yeah, yeah. No, well, that's such a we see that play over time and time again, right? Where it doesn't even become about the original criticism. Oh, people went too far. Um, and then another way I think this has really been a good flashpoint for like the meta discourse is the apparent endless supply of wife guys or girl dads, as they're, I guess, been known come to be known as, where, oh, how dare, and if this was your daughter or if this was your, how would you feel? And they're kind of totally missing the point. And if someone is going to kind of come out into the public sphere and make all these points and then double down and then also act like they don't live in a glass house, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
um I just hate, and I'm sure you hate it too, this world now where everyone's just going to use your religion or your beliefs against you to get what they want, right? So
That's right.
that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like when she cried victim.
Yeah, it's no different than what's the meme with like the atheist? No, I don't hold any of your beliefs. I think they're silly fairy tales, but I'll hold you
Yeah,
to your own beliefs.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're
It's like
supposed
turn
to be
the other cheek.
tolerant. Yeah, you turn the other
Yeah,
cheek,
yeah.
bro.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's this willingness to constantly beat up on young men. Like I saw someone say it where they're like, you've gone your entire life from early childhood, the entire education system tells you you young men are bad, right? You're evil, your ancestors are evil, you're violent, you've oppressed
Yeah.
women, all these things your entire life. Um, and then you go to you go to church where you're supposed to be like have authority and be respected, and you just hear the same shit over again. You're gonna leave, and that is my
Yeah.
fear with this stuff, right? If like we don't get a handle on our like especially in traditional spaces where we're supposed to be have fixed this problem, if we can't address these people, especially like a feminist invasion of trad churches, men will leave, and that is a tragedy. Eh,
And oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's kind of funny, right? Because in a way, right, there was that, well, in Western Christianity, there has been that mass exodus of men over centuries, right? And it was known for the longest time, like, oh, all the girls are Christian, and all the boys, like, yeah, maybe they go, but they don't really believe in it, right? They might go maybe sometimes, but now you're seeing the kind of reverse, and like you said, this refuge. You thought, well, these will be my ideological peers, and then you're finding there's quite a few imposters among us that that no, actually no, it's more of the same, if not worse, because it's like a really twisted version of your value system. So
Yeah, right. Well, like Christians have to recognize that there's maybe not weaknesses the right words, but there's are parts of Christianity that can be used against us as cracks that
yeah.
insidious things can sneak into. So I think there's a real presence of feminism that is trying to invade traditional spaces for like what you said, right? They see this as a backup plan,
Yeah.
for whatever they're dealing with, that brokenness, um, to you know use it as a shield to police men to get revenge, whatever it is. And then on the flip side, you get this boomerism from
Yeah.
especially married men, right? And that's the girl dad wife guy meme where it's kind of like a fuck you, I got mine attitude, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I figured it out. I got married, so I'm an expert. Or, um, I this girl really likes me, so that means I'm a Chad, and like
Yeah.
you're just not trying hard enough, or you're a loser because I'm married, right? And they internalize it because they made it, and not only do they punch down, but they're just completely oblivious to the reality. Uh,
Well, there's so many of these guys that it's right. Like they either won, right? I got extremely lucky in the sense that maybe they had some flaws, and a lot of them it's like they kind of found their girl, early online dating or before Tinder. You know what I mean? Like it was like a different meta game almost.
Absolutely.
But another thing is like it's just you always see it. It's always there where these guys they grow up in this kind of wherever creed like Christian bubble, right? Where they didn't even realize that they were going through like pre-selection, like some of these guys that go to these Christian universities, like that is to find you someone to marry. Like, yeah, okay, maybe no, 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 that is what it's for. and
Mhm.
and so you were able in a very controlled environment find your wife. But if you are a guy who's maybe secular, who has just recently converted, who is working, like you are on the hardest nightmare difficulty mode possible. Um, and you have no community, you have no like families that know each other. That, oh, this guy's no one to like kind of introduce you to the right people to kind of meet someone. You have to do it all from scratch, which is very difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's funny to me how much the woman question just stacks with on top of economics, right? Like
Yeah,
all the happenings are the same happenings, right? Like with the boomer thing, you have the 2008 financial crisis, like totally stunts millennials. The cost of living keeps ratcheting up, right? Housing prices and rent skyrocket and totally like shoot them in the foot, and it creates this culture of basically, not getting married young, of not having kids, just go get travel and get experiences, right? And then Gen Z has to deal with the past 10 years of just insanity in the world,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Uh, Not to mention COVID. And you have these fucking boomers, right? That want to finger wave and grandstand, be like, "Oh, we had it rough too," right?
yeah,
It's intellectually incurious of why things have changed, why things have gotten so bad. And if you're going to start telling men like, "Oh, you must just be shy. Oh, you're not just you need to pull your bootstraps and talk to her, right? Just ask out that
yeah.
girl. What's the worst that could happen?" And then
uh,
you get
uh,
you get that tweet, the famous tweet,
yeah.
the oh, a guy stopped me after mass and asked me for my number. My sister witnessed it. I am mortified. And that
Oh
a
man.
million bajillion people see it and it blows up
Yeah.
on Catholic Twitter.
Yeah. and
That's
and, and women
horrifying.
love doing that. Yeah, women love doing it. They love doing it. They love to see the hive mind. Oh yeah, oh yeah, he's so icky, right? um and I don't see that going away anytime soon. um, I
Ah,
think so. This woman, Catherine, I think if she had to be, because I want to go back to the article now, I want to see what she was saying were the main issues with men. She kind of gave a list. Okay, so this is what all the women in her survey wanted. Okay, so someone who takes their faith seriously and wants to raise children in the church, ability to communicate well and be socially adept, ability to care for themselves, grooming, weight, hygiene, which indicates that they can care for others. Okay, stability, emotionally, financially, and spiritually, humble and honest, and a clear direction, intentionality in life. Does not matter what, any clear direction, intentionality is attractive to a woman. Which again, I think any person will agree with this. Yeah, this makes it like obvious, obvious. So if we had to make that list for universally for women, I think a lot of young guys would say. Has to be in reasonably good shape, like not like crazy, like okay, but like
Not
considered
in the sin
thin.
of gluttony.
Yeah, considered thin. Um, I think a lot of guys would say it would be nice if she had like domestic skills. I don't think that would be. Uh, I think that would be pretty universal. I think being kind of warm, like kind of being pleasant to be around, which I guess is a little bit like, well, what does that mean? But um,
Well, it translates to, how are they gonna be as a wife and mother, right? Like,
right,
are you
yeah,
gonna freak out when the kids are driving you up the wall, or do you have a capacity to remain pleasant, right? Because that
yeah,
matters. Men can shit on each other all day, um, when they're palling around, and like it's no skin off our backs when we're healthy and well adjusted and don't have like a thing about it. But it's very stinging when women just constantly are like on their man about this and that. There's a reason that kind of wears him down, and you can say like, oh, like you should be all stoic and not care and blah blah blah. But
yeah,
there's a reason that that is so off-putting and defeating for men.
yeah. And I think it's not even like, oh, man, like anyone would feel like garbage if you're like putting in all this work and it's always something. It's like, well, okay, why bother, right? Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I actually think this is a kind of more, I don't know if people talk about it, but like, I think there's a lot of value in being sort of interesting in some way.
Totally.
Um, I think you and I have both met, Christian women who kind of fit into all of the above that we said, but you kind of talk to them and total disclaimer, I understand, especially these type of women are usually more shy, and there's kind of an element of like you having to draw her out. But sometimes even after that, like there might not be a lot there. And I think attraction kind of needs like something to kind of have that back and forth on. And you don't have to be the total eccentric, but yeah, just be interesting to talk to.
Yeah, well,
Be socially adept.
women identify this often, right? Like they like a guy who's
Yeah.
funny, right? They don't want someone who's boring.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the coworker meme, right? Of like your coworker is a total NPC, like he does nothing when he goes home. All he does is
Yeah.
watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Um, it's a real problem in modernity, and people have talked about that with this consumer peasant culture of like no one has things that they're really doing or interests or stuff that they can talk about other than these surrogate things like the sports game, the big game, right? That's
Yeah.
that's what we've been kind of trying to define, right? And I think that's totally valid. I think on top of that, there is the problem of female autism that is not being addressed
Yeah. Yeah.
because male autism is real, total valid problem in the church. I get it. I've seen women be approached by men who like mentally do not have the capacity to read social cues, and it's
Yeah.
very uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
But nobody acknowledges like the extent to the female autism question.
And the thing is, you even see this in the article, right? Where like, and I think that was such a good point in your comment about like, this is kind of the reality of like unattractive people, where she's like, oh well, all these men, like the men that seem to imply, or you can infer that are quite desirable at their parish, well, they go for the Stacy Baptist blonde women, the young Stacy, and these all these lovely, wonderful Orthodox women. They're just no one's going for them that I consider desirable, and I just don't understand. And so, you know, how if you're a little bit in that, if you're a female chud, I guess, how what kind of things can you work on yourself to kind of make you more appealing, I guess. Um,
Yeah, well, it's like the
yeah,
reality of like the discourse that's kind of come back on looks maxing, right?
yeah,
Like of course it's excessive and ridiculous because it's trying to get views. But
Yeah.
we've been fed for, the past decades so much of this like liberal, everyone's the same and like you can't judge anybody and we have to have like, plus size models on the Victoria's Secret ad, blah blah blah. The not everybody has swallowed that Kool-Aid, but a lot of people have really internalized it. And it's given, if you're that kind of person that struggles, you're less attractive, you struggle with your weight
Hmm.
more, you have this out of being like, well, I'm beautiful on the inside, so you should just accept that or you're a bad person.
Yeah.
And everybody's gotta get real and to know where they are. This is why people have talked about the hypergamy problem, like if it getting so extreme in the modern day that the unattractive men truly feel invisible, right? And that, to an extent, there is a reality in the flip side. I have met a lot of men who don't
Yeah.
get how chopped they are, and like, bro,
Freaks.
yeah, like, dude, you're gonna have to lower your standards now. Like, on saying that, I know probably way more men who have just straight up lowered their standards to
Yeah.
what I think is just, kind of like not natural. Let's put it that way. Of like, dude, you're an attractive guy. You take care of your finances properly. You have a good job. You're eloquent. You have interesting things to talk about. You're funny, and also you go to the gym all the time and or have abs, and you're dating
Yeah.
like sorry, but like a
You're
sub
dating
five,
who?
right? To use the
Yeah.
lingo.
Yeah. And it's the worst, I think, for those guys. It's the worst when you talk to them or you meet the woman and okay, like, yeah, sub five, as you put it, and they're all also awful. Like
That's the
you're not
biggest
even
thing.
like
That's the biggest
or like
thing.
you're not even getting like, oh well, she's really nice and kind and she makes your life easier. No, no. She's actually a total nag, like is always on the case. Oh, you take care of her. Oh, you want to relax with your boys, maybe play gaming. She's not happy about it. You
She
feel
puts
bad.
you
You kind of
down.
feel bad doing it. Yeah, it's like, why why bother, man?
It's kind of
Like,
like people were talking about it kind of flipped on like age. So like for your entire life your boomer parents were telling you like, oh well, once if you're still dating into your 30s, that's when people get serious. They just cut the bullshit, right? They
yeah,
get realistic. The woman, like, you're gonna be like if you're dating like women in the 30s, like they're gonna be rushing you. You better like carry a weapon because like you're gonna need to like self-defense, right, bro? But
yeah.
it's just not true. And it sounds like this is a new development of people just having this really like nasty defensive attitude towards the opposite sex, where they can just put them down and be completely unrealistic about what the reality of their situation is.
I, I also think that maybe this comes down to maybe why again, like people are again so frustrated, why there was such a big kind of discussion about this is, especially if you're a young white Christian guy, you know, you grew up your whole life kind of getting ragged on this and that, oh you this, and so then you're even in your own church, right? Like people look up, you look up a sermon for Father's Day versus Mother's Day, and already you know what it's going to be like. So like it's just like I'm sick of it. I'm sick of always being put down. I need to be better. I need to do this. You know what? Why don't you guys be better? Actually, why don't you like skip the DoorDash and get in shape? Otherwise, you're going to be alone. And I think we kind of need to get there and being okay with upsetting women, the
Yeah.
lamentations of women. Harden your heart. Like, I think that's what's gonna have to come down to.
Yeah, well, it comes to that meta conversation, right? Like, like I'm shutting out quite a bit here, and
Mm,
it's in good fun. But like I want to be Mr. Reasonable. I want to wish the best for even these feminists, and say
mm,
like you're dealing with your struggles too. I get it, right? But when it's your entire life and all mainstream media tells you young men are the problem, everyone knows the exact same talking points of all the reason men fail. That's on the left
Yeah.
and the right.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you're like, okay, why am I even trying to have nuance, right? I'm just going
Yeah.
to I'm going to chud out.
Well, that's the thing. You try to give nuance as an effort of like good faith, and then they use that as a hammer against you. Oh, well, see, you admitted that. You admitted men aren't good. It's like, okay, well, yeah,
Oh.
men are just terrible. Okay, yeah,
Well, and comes to the female union, right? Of people have identified that, like with this instance, all these Christian traditional women who should be, according to their own standards, mortified at this woman's, sinful hypocrisy, blah blah blah.
yeah,
They rush to her defense, right? There's no talk about the pot calling the kettle black, the moralizing, uh, her leading a man into sin, by sending him unsolicited photographs, allegedly.
yeah,
And they hold the line. The women hold the line, and people have been calling this the female union, right? And it's gone
yep,
into overdrive with the fact that this isn't just women amongst their friends in the village anymore who get to, to use an old timey grandpa phrase, like the hens are are in the hen house, right? They're up to
yeah,
something. They
yeah,
get to do this at like a massive scale that is not possible in the natural world. And I think this is part of this, insane hysteria. This is part of the cancel culture thing, but men need defenses against this, right?
yeah,
And that's like why it's become just so disgusting and so tiresome with the girl dad, the white knight behavior, right? Like you just wonder, like, how does a man read this and not go, okay, like, I'm gonna be nice, but like settle down, right? Like this
yeah.
is what are we doing here? Um, Lauren Southern apparently wrote an entire piece about this debacle,
Oh
and I
man,
couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself, even for even for this
yeah,
show, to
yeah,
read that garbage. Mostly because I don't want to give her any more attention because she's just, again, a perfect example of like this is a bad actor. This is someone
yeah,
who's invaded the space, who's like gaslighting her, people following her, being like, "Oh, like I'm from the trad sphere." No, you're not. You're from Rebel News. You're from the
yeah.
political sphere. In 2016, you talked about, you know, the migrant crisis. You never talked about tradism. You were never like a Catholic or an Orthodox Christian. You're
Well,
lying.
I think Lauren Southern is such a great example here because we saw with her and it was revealed that she had kind of talked about how she was mistreated by these guys that she thought were these great Christian men and both Lauren and this woman it seems the truth is that they're using this wagging of the moral finger uh, as a projection of their own personal failures, right? Like she had this bad marriage with Lauren Southern, right? She has a kid, he's left her, right? Oh, you guys failed. You know what I mean? It's never um, like self awareness. It's always okay. Who can I point the finger to as to the root of my problems? So
It's literally the ancient Jezebel warning, right? Of like these scorned women that
yeah,
just use everything in the toolbox to get revenge on like men in general, right? Um, and like that was the thing that people kept hammering like this article with, being like, she retweeted herself. Oh, like, these men, uh, I've had to, they've been harassing me because of the
yeah,
article, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they're generalizing to all women or something like that. Like
yeah,
completely not self-aware at all that she is generalizing all men to be incel chuds,
yeah,
right? She
yeah.
wrote a PS at the after the article, on the first day when she first started getting pushback. PS dot 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 passive aggressive. For
Mhm.
the men online upset that nothing was addressed on what women need to do to improve because you feel. you feel. This was only an attack on men and hyping up women. I would be happy to address it in a separate article. Or better yet, we would love to see you do a poll from the men's side and read from their perspective. Again, this was not necessarily the point of the article. I apologize if this was hard to read. Not, I apologize that this may have been misconstrued. This was hard to read,
Yeah.
as in you're stupid for misunderstanding. Simply trying to convey the information from the woman's perspective. God bless, and the obligatory God bless.
Yeah. It's
Like it's
also tiring.
I really went in this like being like I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be very as like, charitable as I possibly can, even knowing this person is deeply hostile. Um, I can't do it.
It's funny because I was telling a friend about this whole situation with this woman and like the whole like breakdown. I mentioned like, oh, you had commented and like, you were pretty early on to this post, and and he understood it like, whoa, so your friend like caused this whole media meltdown, this meltstorm, because you're like, actually, respectfully, don't you think this could be applied to women as well? So it's quite funny. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I think, and it's really, I think I have to really say it in this kind of hardened way, but I think women really need to start expecting less. I think they have inflated what they can expect out of their partners constantly. If he's not this, if he's not bringing you flowers, he's not, and always getting check in with the female hive mind. And guys need to start saying, okay, well, you can do that. Sure, I can do all those things. I can get you those presents, but I'm going to be expecting stuff now too. And if you're not going to hit my stupid, crazy standards, then I guess we're all going to be alone and unhappy. So
I gotta pull it up the hoflation green text. Okay, here we go. Modern men have to work 5 times harder than their grandfathers did for a woman 20 times worse than what his grandmother what their grandmothers were. It's called hoflation, and it's destroying Western men's desire to be providers and protectors. And like,
so
um,
true.
it's so true. Like to bring it back to the economic thing, right? Like we've all met baby boomers and old people. They've made almost every incorrect financial decision, and like they kind of landed on their feet. Like they're going to retire. They're not eating cat food at the end of the finish
Yeah,
line, right? And they have kids and
yeah.
blah blah blah. I've met so many married people, old married couples. They have never gone to therapy. They have never addressed the deep issues at the core of their marriage that cost them to fight like cat and dogs, and they just stay married.
Yeah,
It's fine. Like, this was human history for, I don't know, 99% of people. They
yeah.
had okay marriages. They were shitty to each other. They didn't address the problems. Everybody knows what they bicker about. There's a reason they're called an old married couple. And now, even on the trad side, right? When you hear dating advice, it is chasing perfection.
Yeah.
Even from well catechized people. And I hear this stuff, and it's like, actually, you don't deserve that list of reasonable things. Men and women,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
deserve an awful person who's going to mistreat you sometimes, because that's what you are.
Yeah,
There was a great Fulton Sheen series talking about marriage. It was like I think it was sold in records back in the day, but that's exactly what he's saying. He's like, you're kidding yourself if you think you deserve this perfect person who's going to fill your life with light and blah blah blah. You're
mm-hmm.
going to marry a sinner, and they're going to disappoint you.
Yeah, and then again, I guess that's the thing is that um, people are just, well, men are so sick and tired of this is all the ways you're coming up short, because when women come up short, it's like, no, you're a princess, you deserve this, you deserve that, right? By everyone in their community. And if they screw up in a relationship, well, oh well, he should have been more understanding, he should have been more patient. um, and so yeah, you get, you get the person you get the person you deserve in some ways, I guess. But yeah, the inflation,
Yeah,
it's not just the tools, it's not just the tools.
it's yeah, well, it's the balance of messaging, and like I think, my takeaway is we really just need more balance from good Christians to counter signal this stuff, right?
Yeah,
I think there's nothing more useful than, you know, elder wise Christians who share real marriage advice, not this, you know, slop or like advice of like everything's gonna be perfect and God's gonna let you know, blah blah blah, or the list of red flags, or like the all of this stuff we've been bombarded with, a return to, yes, you're marrying a sinner. Actually, like I'm going to go detail, right? Like it's
yeah,
not going to be sunshine and rainbows. And that is what people need to hear, because when they get in marriage, they find out. And if that's what they've heard up until that point, that leads to Christian divorces. Whether or not,
yeah,
like, oh, the Catholic Church or the Orthodox Church can't get divorced, it happens. Um,
yeah,
and I know I've met these people. Like I know they
yeah,
exist. There's good Christian women who respect men, right? They are able to see these things, and it's they should be, I guess, encouraged to open up their mouth, even if it's maybe like, no one wants to get told like they're fat, or that they're like their
yeah,
standards are
yeah,
too high, or whatever it is. Um, and we should empower those people to actually give good advice.
yeah. No, I totally agree.
All right, so rating 1 out of 5 for this article, and your final thoughts.
Okay, well,
What do you think?
I would rate it like a 2 out of like content, but the like everything around it, like the Twitter and everything, it was kind of like a 4 or 5 in entertainment, but there wasn't really much substance there. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, it is a must read, actually, if you put it that way. Um, yeah, like I agree. Like in terms of, prose and like structure, this is a well done essay for what she's trying to do. The fact it's just it was done for evil. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, that's like in terms of what good it is, it's like a 1, right? Because like
yeah,
this person has proved that this is not in good faith, but
yeah,
definitely people should read this.
yeah. If
Dissect
not
it,
for the
know
love,
it, know
yeah,
your enemy.
yeah,
And
so
yeah,
true.
you should actually probably pray for this person too. This is a deeply flawed human. You hate to see it, but I'm just not going to I'm not going to stay up crying about it, because
Yeah,
I'm sick of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's it.
Right. So for me and Mr. Arthur Cartier,
Yeah,
we hope you enjoyed the Substack, and we catch you on the next one.
yeah. Catch you on the
Bye for
next one.
now.